over there and play ball and have a cookout. I think you'll see Grandpa Wiley sitting there. There's Mr. Gensler. There's Mrs. Mr. Morris, Mrs. Morris. They'll be celebrating their 65 years of marriage this August of 1990. Mr. Blake, Mrs. Harrison, Linda DeWeese, Mrs. Whitehead. There's Mrs. Morris again, and Mr. Morris behind her. If you look in the scrapbook, you will see a lot of pictures of these people individually with their names below them. That was Pauline Brenly. She passed away several years ago. Our young men and older men all loved to play ball, so they had quite a time. This was a good outing for all of us. Sometimes I wasn't able to go to them, but that didn't keep them from having a good time without me. But I always enjoyed them too. And look at the cookout. There's Winthy Wiley. We had some of the best cooks that was going. This is Mrs. Christensen before they left on full-time Christian work. And do you recognize these little boys? This is our bus. We developed buses, and that helped so much in our church ministry, because people hated to call and ask you for a ride, which we didn't mind. You're going to see some others that haven't showed up very much before. There is the Phyllis Walls, Walgo. There is some of my names leave me. I hope you can recognize them. Pauline Brenly again. There's Mr. Gensler. There's Pauline. There's Perry Sparks. Some of the white-headed men I just don't recognize. That's Mrs. Whitehead. She stayed active till the last. Grandpa Wiley. There is Mr. Sturgis, Brother Young. Sturgis lived on Ridge Road. Both of them have gone home with the Lord. There's Bill and another one of the young men. Both of them lost their hair. That's Gene Edwards. This is with our educational building. We built that on while Brother Young was there, and we sure needed it. We didn't have enough Sunday school space. So we're still growing. The children are growing up on us. There's Bill. There's Bill DeNoon. We're down at the creek, and if I'm not mistaken, we're going to have another baptizing. They'd rather do that than be in the baptistry. And we love to sing, and
He just probably gets these underwater now.
Oh, he does.
Water wasn't very deep. When dry creek about ready to dry.
They call this dry creek, and a lot of the time it is dry, but it can really get going. I don't know if this is the time or not, but Brother Young also baptized Mr. and Mrs. Morris. And there is some more new ones that's come into our community. We're still getting new people to this day, but you will see some new faces here. Marie Harrison talking to some of them. There's Ace Harrison. There's Mr. Blake from the St. Louis. Norma Wiley. That's Winthie's brother-in-law. It must have been homecoming because we always got a big bunch of them, and the Blake's brothers usually brought ice cream and served ice cream to all of them when we had our homecoming. And you will see a picture in the scrapbook of when they were serving. There's Grace Brandt. See, people are even outside eating. I told you the Baptists love to eat, and they were sure doing it. It's hard to keep up with our youth. There's Jimmy DeNoon. There's Gail Fisher. There's Ross Stretch. He's home from service. We had all the services represented from our church. The Army. Well, maybe we didn't have Marines. We had the Air Force. This is This is Mrs. Sturgis. This is Shirley Bush, her sister Betty. That's Mr. Pig, Miss Lucille Leonard. That's Perry Sparks, Mr. Sturgis going out there. Russell Brindley. There's Bill. There's Reverend Swartz. He was from Belleville. Very dedicated. This is our pastor, Dr. Jim Johnston, in our old office. A new one is across the next door now. And then his family. His wife's name's Becky. And video now, not those old movies. And this is Betty Christopherson at the piano. She's also the secretary of our church, and her husband is one of our deacons. Been very faithful in our church. We have put a lot of work in on this, and one of the good things is that we never missed a worship service in our auditorium the whole time they were building it bigger.